Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television's on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. The Rivers State House of Assembly has suspended the impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu. Following the intervention of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the decision to halt the process was taken on during plenary at the Assembly's resumed sitting in Port Harcourt, the state capital. During the plenary presided over by the Speaker, the Majority Leader, Major Jack, read a notice detailing the allegations of gross misconduct against the governor. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has intensified engagement with key stakeholders ahead of the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections scheduled for Saturday, 21st February. The Commission says the consultations are aimed at ensuring a smooth, credible and hitch-free electoral process across the 6 area councils of the FCT. Over now to Anete Patrick's report.
At a stakeholders meeting in Abuja, INEC Chairman Professor Josh Amopitan reassured residents of the Commission's preparedness, highlighting the deployment of sensitive and non-sensitive materials to registration area centers. He called on the political parties participating in this Saturday's FCT Area Council election to keep to the Thursday campaign deadline. Professor Amopitan urged political parties, candidates and supporters to play by the rules, warning against vote buying, violence, and the spread of misinformation. He emphasized that security agencies have been fully mobilized to safeguard voters and electoral officials before, during, and after the polls.
What remains, therefore, is part of this activity we are doing to engage the stakeholders and appeal to them to play their own parts, to play their own role in ensuring that the election is peaceful, credible, and that the outcome is widely acceptable.
The FCT Commissioner of Police, Mila Dantawaye, said all security agencies have been adequately prepared to ensure the safety of lives and property before, during, and after the area council polls. He said the security agencies have identified all black spots, while adequate personnel have been mobilized to address any emergency.
We have further gone around collectively as heads of security agencies within FCT to the very far locations where you may be afraid of. So we are taking note of places we consider to be black spots, especially for election.
Some candidates for the election spoke with the media on the side, calling for the election results to be transmitted electronically for transparency and credibility.
When election comes like this, they will say call for stakeholder meetings and make their promises. At the end of the day, they will fail. But this is a new leadership. We hope there will be changes.
Other stakeholders, including Inter-Party Advisory Council, National Orientation Agency, civil society organizations, and the traditional institution, appealed to INEC to keep to the Constitution and Electoral Act in the conduct of the polls. Anete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
In a related development, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Josh Amopitan, has promised to reward electoral officers who deliver in Saturday's Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections. Anete Patrick reports that the INEC boss also expressed satisfaction with the level of preparedness across key councils. The report.
In a final push ahead of the February 21st Area Council elections, INEC Chairman Professor Josh Amopitan toured Kuje, Gwagwalada and Buhari to assess readiness on the ground. Addressing officials after inspecting facilities and election materials, Professor Amopitan expressed confidence in the level of preparation, saying reports from the councils show impressive readiness figures, with some recording up to 100% preparedness. He disclosed that non-sensitive materials have been badged and verified, adding that there will be no excuse for lapses on election day.
So I'm sure that all abreast with the provisions of those laws, especially those of us that will have a role to play during the election. Let us understand our duties, what is expected of us, and let us perform our duty faithfully and dedicatedly.
Professor Amopiton promised to reward electoral officers who conduct free, fair and credible polls, but warned that any official who violates the Electoral Act or constitutional provisions will face sanctions. The chairman cautioned that failure of officials to arrive early at polling units could erode public confidence in the process.
One of the measures to determine whether election is successful on that day is to see that every polling unit is open to the public, to the voters, by 8 o'clock, so that accreditation and voting can commence at this time. If you are going to achieve this, it means that you have to activate the RAP.
Electoral officers in Kuje, Gwagwalada and Buhari assured the commission of their readiness, confirming that logistics and administrative arrangements have been concluded. The INEC chairman was accompanied on the inspection tour by national commissioners and senior officials of the commission. Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Still on electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and security agencies in Kano State have declared full readiness for Saturday's by-elections in Kano Municipal and Ogongo constituencies. Police Commissioner Ibrahim Adamu said a joint security operation has been activated with personnel deployed to polling units, collision centers, and key locations to ensure a peaceful and credible process. Movements will be restricted in both local government areas on election day. INEC's resident electoral commissioner, Aldo Zango, confirmed that all electoral materials have been deployed and commended security agencies for their support. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has confirmed the rearrest of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai shortly after he was granted administrative bail by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. ICPC spokesperson John Ode said El-Rufai is in the Commission's custody in connection with ongoing investigations following his initial detention by the EFCC over corruption allegations. The development comes amid separate cybercrime charges reportedly filed against him by the State Security Service at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The federal government has ordered the closure of a mining site in Kampani, Zurich, Wase, local government area of Plateau State, following a gas leak that killed at least 37 miners. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, directed the shutdown of the mine and dispatched a team of investigators to determine the immediate and remote causes of the incident. Plateau State authorities say dozens were hospitalized, while the government has urged residents to remain calm as investigations continue. The Katsina State Police Command says it has foiled a bandit attack in Dandume local government area, killing 2 suspected bandits during a gun battle. Police spokesperson DSP Abubakar Sadiq confirmed that the attackers had fatally shot a 30-year-old woman before security operatives arrived at the scene. The Commissioner of Police Bello Shehu commended the officers for their bravery and reaffirmed the command's commitment to safeguarding lives and property. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. The News Cycle continues after this weather forecast plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Step outside and you feel it instantly. The air is dusty. The Federal Capital Territory and most parts of the country are currently under the noticeable dust haze. And up north, the concentration is even heavier. So heading into Thursday, the story doesn't change. The dust stay with us. We're expecting thick dust haze across the northern cities. especially in Borno, Adamawa, Jigawa, Gombe, Bauchi, Katsina, and Kano State. Visibility could drop to 1,000 meters or even less. That means hazy skies, reduced visibility, and extra caution for flight operators to check the NIMET e-flight folder portal for proper planning. And also anyone spending long hours outdoors. Across the north-central region, moderate dust haze would dominate, while inland southern cities will still experience slight hazy conditions. But that's not all. By afternoon, we're watching out for thunderstorms over part of Ondo, Ogun, Bayelsa, Cross River, and River State. So while some areas battle dust, others could hear rumbles of thunder later in the day. It's a mix of haze and storms. So stay alert, drive carefully, and keep those umbrellas close if you are in the south. I am Akani Samarda.
You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed an executive order suspending the collection of management and frontier exploration fee by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, and directing full remittance of oil and gas revenues to the Federation account. Now, the directive was disclosed in a statement by Mohammed Manga, Director of Information and Public Relations at the Federal Ministry of Finance. According to the ministry, the move is designed to realign oil and gas revenue flows with constitutional provisions, curb leakages, and straighten fiscal transparency amid declining inflows into the Federation account despite improved production and favorable market conditions. Nigeria's intelligence community is seeking a supplementary budget to strengthen its response to growing security threats across the country. This was at the 2026 Budget Defense session before the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence, where it described the 2026 allocation to the intelligence sector as grossly inadequate. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick tells us more.
Permanent Secretary, Special Services, Office of the National Security Advisor, Mohammed Sanusi says increased funding has become imperative following President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency on national security. He outlined key priorities for 2026 to include combating terrorism, banditry and kidnapping, protecting critical infrastructure, strengthening cybersecurity, tackling the proliferation of small arms, and addressing transactional crimes within the West African corridor.
With the recent declaration of state of emergency by Mr. President on national security, it is our humble prayer that adequate funding shall be provided through a supplementary budget to the intelligence community to ensure a timely and speedy response to issues of national security. We will all agree, Mr. Chair, that no nation can grow without adequate security.
Respondent Chairman House Committee on National Security and Intelligence, Ahmad Satomi, explained that out of the 5.41 trillion naira proposed for defense and security in 2026, the intelligence community is allocated about 664 billion naira for personnel, overhead, and capital expenditure. Satome expressed concern over what he termed resistance by some security agencies to legislative oversight, insisting that accountability does not amount to antagonism.
In 2024, this committee undertook a visit to the training schools of various departments and state services in Bauchi, Lagos, Enugu, and have scheduled to visit Kaduna and the remaining sites in Kogi, Cross River State. We also visited the training school of the NIA in Lagos. We are disheartened by the sorry state of facility in all schools, and all will be attributed to the lack of funding.
The committee, however, called for improved funding of intelligence training institutions, describing facilities visited in Bauchi, Lagos, and Enugu as inadequate for world-class security training. From the National Assembly, Aniette Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has warned that the rapid expansion of private digital payment platforms and stable coins could threaten foreign exchange stability and trigger capital flow pressures in emerging markets. This warning was issued by the CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso during a plenary speech at the G24 Technical Group meeting held in Abuja. Now, he noted that although digital payment systems present major opportunities for financial inclusion and operational efficiency, they also introduce structural vulnerabilities that require proactive regulatory oversight. On the foreign desk now, President Donald Trump has announced a $10 billion U.S. contribution to launch a new board of peace, initially focused on rebuilding Gaza after 2 years of war between Hamas and Israel. The initiative, unveiled at the renamed former U.S. Institute of Peace Building in Washington, comes as Trump moves U.S. military assets towards Iran and threatens possible war. And the Board of Peace has drawn criticisms for its unclear structure and funding details. Trump would hold veto power and remain its head even after leaving office, while countries seeking permanent membership must pay $1 billion. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has renewed his threats against Iran, suggesting that Tehran has about 10 days to reach a deal with Washington or face further military strikes. Speaking at the inaugural Board of Peace meeting in Washington, D.C., the United States president reiterated his argument that the joint Israel-U.S. strike against Iran in June of last year paved the way to the ceasefire in Gaza. Trump argued that without the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, the threat of Iran would have prevented countries in the region from agreeing to peace in the Middle East. Trump's comment comes days after the U.S. and Iran held a second round of indirect talks. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned technology leaders of the risk of artificial intelligence, saying its future cannot be left to the whims of few billionaires. Speaking at a global artificial intelligence summit in India, Guterres called on tech tycoons to support a $3 billion global fund to ensure open access to the fast advancing technology for all. Zarau Nasiru tells us more.
Fletcher said it was also a time when politicians boast of cutting aid, as he unveiled a streamlined plan to raise at least $23 billion to help 87 million people in the world's most dangerous places, such as Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, Haiti, and Myanmar. He said the United Nations would like to ultimately raise $33 billion to help 135 million people in 2026, but is painfully aware that its overall goal may be difficult to reach, given U.S. President Donald Trump's slashing of foreign aid.
Dan right, AI can advance sustainable development goals, accelerate breakthroughs in medicine, expand learning opportunities, strengthen food security, bolster climate action and disaster preparedness, and improve access to vital public services. But it can also deepen inequality, amplify bias, and fuel harm.
Fletcher said the highly prioritized appeal was based on excruciating life and death choices, adding that he hoped Washington will see the choices made and the reforms undertaken to improve aid efficiency and choose to renew that commitment to help. He added that the UN is simply demanding that the world spend less on defense and more on humanitarian support.
AI must be accessible to everyone. That is why, encouraged by the General Assembly of the United Nations, I'm calling for a global fund on AI to build basic capacity in developing countries. Skills, data, affordable computing power, and inclusive ecosystems. Our target is $3 billion US. That is less than 1% of the annual revenue of a single tech company.
In 2025, the UN's appeal for more than $45 billion was only funded to $12 billion mark. the lowest in a decade, the world body said, that only allow it to help 98 million people, 25 million fewer than the year before. Zahra Nasir, reporting for Global Television.
In sports news now, the National Sports Commission, NSC, has stressed the importance of investing in grassroots sports as a strategy to grow the sports economy and support youth development in Nigeria. During a courtesy visit by the steering committee of the 2026 Nigeria Electricity Supply Industry Week, the Commission's chairman, Shehu Diko, urged organizations to encourage their members to promote grassroots sports by constructing small community facilities such as baseball courts, football pitches, and tennis courts. He went on to state that the NASI Week, a week dedicated to different types of sports for those in the electricity sector aligned with the sports economy. Real Madrid said it had provided all available evidence to UEFA in support of the Brazilian star Vinicius Junior's complaint of racist abuse during this week's Champions League clash at Benfica. Tuesday's first leg of the knockout phase playoff tie in Lisbon was stopped for 10 minutes after Vinicius told the referee Benfica's Galuca had called him a monkey during a confrontation. The Argentine midfielder, who covered his mouth during the argument after Vinicius had celebrated a goal dancing in front of a home fan, denies the allegation. However, UEFA announced that it would investigate the allegations of discriminatory behavior as a furor broke out with teammates rushing to back Vinicius, who has repeatedly suffered racist abuse since joining Real in 2018. FIFA President Gianni Infantino says all 104 matches of the 2026 World Cup are effectively sold out, citing over 508 million ticket requests for about 7 million available seats. Speaking from Florida, Infantino noted that demand from more than 200 countries underscores unprecedented global interest in the expanded 48-team tournament to be hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. He projected revenues of at least $11 billion and significant economic impact, adding that all proceeds will be reinvested in football development worldwide. That's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @GlobalTVNG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good evening.